lot going on besides just the post office.
Just tell us the basics about what First They Came for the Homeless is trying to do. Just the basics.
Well, First They Came for the Homeless, Sarah came up with that name based on the, I think it was a poem from World War II where first they came for the socialists or first they came for the labor, and in the end it goes, and then they came for me and no one was left.
It's a well-known quote, and I will append it to this video.
I can never remember, I know it, I know who wrote it, but I can never remember when I need to. What it is the group of occupiers from Occupy SF started this. We're the ones from the 101, the Federal Reserve, where we held it for 9 months. Me and Jesse, you know Jesse.
Yes, I do.
We are the ones who planned this more than 6 months ago. And then I sold my RV to finance this. And me and Jesse started occupying the Staples out in San Francisco, where we lasted a week. Couldn't take it because it was too cold and the cops were really brutal. After we held Staples, and I think we're at Staples for 8 days on Van Ness, the 101 freeway, we moved to Feinstein's office, where we set up at, not at the McKesson building, which is her building, but across, not Market, but across whatever that side street is, it might be Montgomery. And we set up over there by the BART entrance, where we held it down for about 8 days also, maybe a little bit less. While we were there, we had building security come out and tell us we could not be on the public sidewalk, and that really irritated us because in San Francisco they shuffle the homeless around. They want them out of sight, and if they are in sight, they're going to be abused. They're going to be cited for sit-lie, or the cops will just make up a reason to move them out of certain areas of the city. So while we were there, we were experiencing that. We then, just to kind of mess with the Federal Reserve, we went back and took the Federal Reserve for 5 days. And the last time we had been at the Federal Reserve for more than 24 hours, we actually ended up with 130 people out there for 9 months. So they got in a bit of a panic when we showed up, and they know who I am. They know damn well who I am, because I sat there for 9 months right in front of their entrance raising hell. So when I show up, and I brought 2 homeless people with me, then we rallied a bunch of homeless people while we were there, and we took over the 101 again with about 20 people. That caused the Federal Reserve to put up thousands of dollars in new cameras right away, all along the perimeter of the building, which I loved. They're hiding them, so you got to be careful when you're up there next. And
give me a time period. When was this now?
This was June, maybe in the 16th to the 21st, I think we were there.
Of what year?
Of 2014.
Okay, 2014, last year.
This occupation, it was supposed to be 3 months of occupying Staples, but it ended up turning into more when we got out here, because we were actually making a difference when we got to this Staples. But anyways, let's get back to the Federal Reserve. When we were doing,
now we're in San Francisco.
Yeah,
back in San Francisco.
We're in San Francisco. Okay. At the Federal Reserve, we triggered a very harsh response by DPW and a very harsh response by SFPD, which I've got videos of. I even had SFPD say that the Constitution, our copy of the Constitution, was not a valid permit to protest. I got that on tape. That was beautifully done. Anyways, we go to the Federal Reserve, and we triggered an immediate response of really harsh behavior. DPW came in and sprayed us directly with the hose truck, by the way, which I have on video. And they gassed us. They used chemicals on us, which are bleach. Then they used a pine cleaner, and they used simple green. And everybody thinks that those are all safe, but if you look up the safety data sheets on these things, they are not safe. And they're using this on the homeless now. If you mix, and I have smelled the mix, bleach and pine cleaner, and if the pine cleaner has ammonia in it, you have just manufactured mustard gas. So they're mustard gassing the people, the homeless in the city. And the only proof we have is our nose, but we photographed the bottles, and we have tons of evidence over the period of time from the occupation of Justin Herman Plaza all the way through everything that we did in San Francisco. Raul De La Rosa has really documented what they were doing. He's done an outstanding job on just doing investigative reporting on what they're doing. We're at the Federal Reserve. We got attacked by the police and DPW, and then the drugs and the alcohol started showing back up. Because the locals out there, there's a huge amount of drug and alcohol problems with the homeless out there. So they started showing up for the security and such that we provide. We didn't want that, so we decided to break and leave San Francisco and come out here to Berkeley and then try to do the local Staples. Turns out that when we got here, Staples had a beautiful location to set up, and they had a back sidewalk that was shut down. So we put a tent city in the back and an info table in the front, and we sat there for about 4 months.
We are promoting
the boycott of Staples. Staples had moved postal kiosks in, and were providing mail services using their minimum wage employees instead of postal union employees. This is where the fight is. This is where the Commons is, okay?
At the post office,
At the post office.
which started out as the Commons. Through rain and sleet and dead of night, we will deliver the mail no matter what. When it was practically the founding fathers put that in place.
Benjamin Franklin, the first Postmaster General.
Yeah.
And the post offices, he set them up. This guy was a genius. He set these post offices up in the downtown region, right here. Central.
Benjamin Franklin?
Yeah, this was his plan. These post offices are central in the cities, and they are a spot of the city where if a disaster was to take place, like all the power's out, you have no internet anymore, this is a place where you could go in the olden times to actually get your information. So we came over here to set up an encampment here. Thank you. To set up an encampment here. And we're using homeless people to do it for a couple of reasons. First off, the homeless people are already used to being outside. We don't have to go through any of the what's the word I want to use? Acclimation. We don't need to acclimate to being outside. We're already acclimated to it. The housies, which we call the house people, the housies would come out, but they can't deal with the cold. They can't deal with the wind. They don't think about little things like cardboard on the ground underneath them to keep them warm, whereas we all know this stuff. Mm-hmm. So we decided, okay, this is us. This is our fight. And we've already demonstrated over there at Staples that we can do this without drugs and alcohol.
Let's ask Mike. While he's doing this, first they came for the homeless initiative, does he have in mind all of the things he's saying about our culture right now? And he said,
yes. When somebody stops here, we don't know what we're going to talk about until they open up their mouth. Some of them want to talk about the post office. Some of them want to talk about the homeless situation. Some of them want to talk about the fact that Papa John's up there is refusing service to the homeless. The ambassadors are kicking the people off the streets, the homeless. We even had a homeless man assaulted by one of the ambassadors. Punched in the eye, 17 stitches right here. The topics of conversation vary on whoever comes in, but there's a lot of issues. You saw the flyer that we have on the pesticide hearing that they're going to have. That comes from one of the people that come by here and just drop this stuff off for us. The info table has become the town crier. We post information pertinent to whatever is going on in Berkeley. We put information up on city council meetings, anything that applies to us or anything that will have a lot of public interest, we try to put out on the table. And we pay our own printing costs. We don't ask people to pay for it. We have a donation jar to pay for all of our printing out here. But if you have something you want to get out, bring it out, we'll put it on the table. We'll read it, we'll educate ourselves on the issue, and then we will do outreach for you as well. And we will find people that might be interested in the same topic that you brought a piece of literature out on. We'll develop mailing lists for people. Anything that's required. We need to get back to the basics in this country, and the basics that won the revolution were town crier. Not news. There was no mainstream media that was lying to everybody and keeping them brainwashed. We have the truth out here on our table.
Town crier?
The town crier.
How did that work?
Paul Revere. Paul Revere was a town crier. That wonderful historic ride that he took was a town crier running around doing the town crier stuff.
He was spreading the news.
He was spreading the
news.
The
British are coming. The British are coming.
That's it.
That's what you're doing.
And that's what we're doing, except we're not saying the British are coming. We're saying Richard Blum is coming. And Richard Blum, please don't be a dick.
Okay, let's do this again. Because this is the message. Richard Blum, please do not be a dick.